It's Shannon.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live.
It's Shannon.
Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to say hello to my co-host, Miss Patricia D. Fraser. Hello there, Miss Fraser. How you doing?
Hello, Shannon. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Thank you. Dr. Vanessa, she's over in Panama vacation, and Allison, she's down in Atlanta vacationing. So I don't know why they get to have fun, you know.
Right.
But that's okay because they're missing a therapy session tonight. We're just so excited to have our special guest joining us tonight. We can't wait to talk to her because we definitely need some therapy. So I would like to introduce our special guest tonight, Miss Ida DeBrero. Ida is a double board certified as a mental health nurse practitioner and family nurse practitioner. She has 15 years of nursing experience, which includes 5 years in pain management. She provides telepsychiatry treatment, including medication management and talk therapy for adults with depression, anxiety, addiction, domestic violence, and disorder and personality disorder, amongst other mental health issues. So I can't wait to talk to her about my mental issues tonight. I don't know about you, Pat, but
Hey, any help?
I'm a guest on for tonight. I'm so excited to have her here joining us. Ida, how are you? What happened to her? Is she on? Well, we're waiting for our guest to come on, Miss Ida DeBrero. She's coming on to talk to us tonight about how to gain a better understanding of ourselves. We've been talking about it since the beginning of the year. How do we change our mindsets? How do we make ourselves a better person for 2023? Because, we had so much going on in 2022. So we want to change how we look at things, and we want to change how we do things. And, how do we become a better person? What should we be doing to make ourselves a better person? How do we change our mindset? How would you say we change our mindset?
That's right. We want to be the best version of ourselves. And whatever help we can get to get there, we'll take it. It's out there.
Well, what would you say would be some specific things that we should work on that's gonna make us better? What's some stuff that we should work on ourselves, particularly women, because we have a lot on us?
Yes, we do. Well, just management, being able to have a balance with work and children and our self-care and our mental health, of course, because we always want to look at other people and help them before we help ourselves. So it's really important that we try to have a balance in life. I think it's really key.
Mm-hmm.
So those are definitely some things that we want to look at.
So do you recommend that we do therapy? That we should do therapy?
I most definitely would recommend therapy. I even believe that if you're going to seek a therapist and you can find out information about them, the therapists themselves should get their own therapy, because this allows them to work on their own issues before they sit down and try to help you with yours. So it's a process with everyone, because you don't want someone putting their thoughts and their values and their judgments on you. You want to know that for that period of time that you're with them, there's an expression in the field that says they're lending you their ego. So they're lending you what they know to help you get to a better place. So that's
because as you I'm pretty sure you already know, like, there's for some reason for now, there's a whole lot of talk about mental illness And so there's so many different areas of mental illness because I don't think every little thing that we feel or we feeling depressed a little bit because something happened or whatever, I don't really consider that like a mental illness, or do we
No,
consider that a
it's
mental
not.
illness?
No, I mean, there can be sadness. I mean, something can happen and it's upsetting, but there are measures to see if this is really just something that's transient, meaning just passing through, or if this is becoming an issue. Like if you can't get out of bed like 1 week, going on 2 weeks, then something serious is going on. If you're not able to focus and be able to do what you normally do, whether it's to go to work or parent your children or spend time with your significant other, if everything is just seeming too overwhelming and you're isolating, and sometimes even if you're talking, like, having what they call suicidal ideations, talking about harming yourself, sometimes you can just say, oh, I'm so fed up, I'm just done. And it could just be for the moment, but if this is something recurring and you keep saying it, then that's one of the issues. That's something you might want to look at, to say, well, this is not just something passing. There may really be an issue there. And then you want to start, if this is a loved one, you might want to start trying to get them to get some professional help.
Mhm. So what about the individual person themselves, that when they, want to commit suicide, like, would this be something that just happens, or is this something that leads up to that? In other words, something has been going on for maybe months, years, or whatever, that would lead a person to even think about
Hmm.
committing suicide or something like that. Because it's like a lot of that is going on now that we didn't hear about before, particularly with the young people. In
Hmm.
particular, even with people that you feel like, well, what is they committing suicide for? They got everything, which I know is
Hmm.
not material stuff that makes them want to do
Right, because
that.
rich
But
people have been known to take their lives too, you know?
exactly, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can have a what's called a predisposition to being suicidal. It could be something organic going on, with your brain that just makes you so helpless and hopeless. Or it just could be, as you were saying before, just circumstances just don't seem to be getting any better. And so you just get more and more hopeless, and then you go into despair, and that seems to be the best outcome for you in your mind.
hmm
Maybe I should just end it all. But you
hmm
do want to look for signs, especially with young people, if they're doing any self-harm, if they're talking about it. And I know when I've spoken to people that may be suicidal, or especially kids in the school, you ask them, have they really thought about how they would end their life? If they can tell you step by step, then you need to forget, don't even stop at therapy. They need to go into the hospital and
hmm
get
hmm
observed and get, attention. But they're
So, do
just
you
serious
think,
questions. Mhm.
particularly with young people, do you think that starts at an early age? Because I think that's why we need to be talking to our children a lot, particularly when
Mhm.
they're young, particularly
Mhm.
about self-esteem, confidence. Because see, when the bullying starts, if they have the confidence in themselves, then they're not as easily going to let someone bully them as
Right.
quick as if they're a weak person. And that's why I feel that we really have to be talking to our children, making them strong, letting them know
That's
you don't
right.
have to accept this. You don't have to do this. Don't let your friends talk to you in that way. Like,
Mhm.
so this way they build themselves up to that standard. Not to think
That's
they
right.
better than someone else or something like that, but to have
Mhm.
that confidence and love themselves, because
That's
that's where
right.
it comes in at. And you got
Yeah,
to love yourself, even as an adult, yourself as a person. You have to learn to love yourself, because if you love yourself, then you don't worry about what other people say about you as much,
right.
because
That's
you know
right.
who you are.
Right. That's true. And the suicide rate, it's been rising, but there is help for them. And some kids, like the situation that happened, I think it was last week or the week before, where the young girl was, she was actually beat up. It was put on the web for everyone to see, and then a couple of days later, she ended up taking her life,
Right.
which is just so tragic. They do give bullying prevention classes in some schools to, tell someone, don't be afraid. You're not being a snitch. And sometimes kids can just be very cruel to one another, and if I help him pick on this person, then maybe they won't bother me. That kind of mentality. But again, there's guidance counselors, psychologists, social workers in the school that can really like just keep an eye out. And kids shouldn't be afraid to go to someone and say, listen, there's this girl and I saw her doing something. She was sticking herself with a pencil. A niece of mine, matter of fact, the other day did that. There was a girl and she saw her. She actually observed the girl sticking herself with the pencil, and she went and she reported it to the guidance counselor, and they were able to intervene. So you shouldn't, as an adult or as a young person, you should really never be afraid to just tell someone, or if it's an adult, just ask them, are you okay? Like, what's going on with you? You seem a little bit.
That's what I was telling you about, teaching the kids not to be afraid. Even if you get in a fight with the other kid and they kick your butt or whatever, the ideal is you're taking up for yourself. You understand? Just like the young lady, where he killed herself because they jumped her in the hallway and they posted the video or whatever. So even in a case like that, what I was saying, like if talk to be strong, like, and fight back, even you might can't beat all of them or whatever, but to fight back. But then after that happened, tell her parents what happened so that way they can immediately come up there to the school. Because if you come home telling me something, I'm immediately going to go to the school. And if you're not going to handle it, then I'm going to handle it.
That's right.
Because if we have to be beating up the kids ourselves, me and my cousins or whoever else, we go to the school, that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to be attacking my child in school or whatever like that. That's why they do that. So that's why I say you have to teach your kids about bullying and that taking up for themselves and fight back. If you have to fight back, you fight back, even if you get beat up or whatever.
Some kids are just tougher than others. Some kids are more resilient than others. Some can fight back and some just can't. They're afraid or they're embarrassed.
That, what I'm saying is,
I know what you're saying.
No, I'm saying, look, we gotta take a quick break. We'll come back and tell you what I'm saying, because this way.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Hopefully we can get Ida back home when we come back.
Okay.
We're gonna take a quick break.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
You are loved. You are valued. You are resilient. You got this.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hi, we're back. Before we went to break, I was trying to explain to Miss Pat about bullying and with our kids. And I'm not saying that we should teach our kids to be up at school fighting, but I am saying it in a way because I don't want my child going to school being afraid. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want to deal with the kids yourself, you immediately come home. You get on the phone in the school and call me immediately to come up to the school so we can handle this situation. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why when I see this stuff in the schools, and I know schools don't really always do what they're supposed to do, because I know that background. I come from that background. And that's why I think it's important that we as parents have that conversation with our kids from the time they start first grade, kindergarten, coming up or whatever. Because I mean, I don't care what anyone say. I teach my granddaughter, look, they be messing with you in school. No, you gonna deal with them standing right there. I don't care. They push you, you push them. This is how I feel about it or whatever. I don't care. And if the teacher say anything to you, you tell them that your grandmother told you to do that. So that way they come and deal with me. I don't care, because when I saw that young lady commit suicide like that, and I said that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened.
And the school dropped the ball in that situation because they knew that there was bullying going on in that school.
Right.
And they were just like shoving it under the rug. Nobody was addressing it. So it took this poor child losing her life for them to now all of a sudden these things are coming into place. So, it does take a village. And I agree with you. Nobody wants to think that their child goes to school and gets bullied or mistreated. You do tell them, look, stand up for yourself. And if you're afraid to fight that kid, you go right to the teacher and you tell the teacher that kid just pushed you, or he threw something at you, but always stand up for yourself. So
But the main thing is have them to call you immediately, so you come up there and handle the problem. That's the thing that we got to get our kids to understand. Don't be afraid to call us. You call your
we know it happens.
When it comes up there, because those kids get depressed as well. Also, we have a lot of young people in schools and stuff now, colleges and everywhere, and they are depressed. And sometimes I even say to myself, well, what are they depressed about? I mean, it's not like they got to pay bills and worry about where they got a check or somewhere to live, somewhere to stay, but I don't know what it is, but older people, I know when they get depressed, but I feel that even when we get depressed, we have to do something or find a way that we don't let something stay on our mind like that. For a period of time. Because I think if it stays on there a period of time, that's when you go into that depression. But if we have other things that we can do, I know before we was talking about the breathing and the yoga and stuff like that, which is excellent. And talking to the therapist, I see now we need to talk to a therapist when we don't even have anything wrong with us.
That's right.
Because I think that because now that I realize it, talking, since I've been doing a couple of shows with the therapist talking, so I realized I was like, oh, I've been getting on this therapy. It's wonderful. I mean, I'm feeling so much.
You get a chance to talk. It's all good. It's really good. And the thing about with therapy, when you're in the session and you're talking, you are having an opportunity to vent, but the therapist is still guiding you in a direction because that's the treatment. So you might feel like, well, I'm just getting everything off my chest, but part of the goal is to have the person, the patient or the client come to the realization of what's going on with them. It's different if I say, oh, this is what I think is wrong, but it's really significant when you can say, so maybe that's what's wrong, because you came to that conclusion on your own, just with having a trained person there guiding you in that direction. And that's the difference when we were talking earlier with Ida, that's the difference when you have a friend, because she was saying, you have a friend and you might be afraid that you tell this friend something and then you might hear it down the line. Right. But when you're with a trained person or a licensed person, by law, they cannot share your information. Now, they're looking at a lawsuit or something. So that in itself can create some trust because, listen, this person is here to keep my secrets or what I just feel so embarrassed about, which, probably a lot of people are sharing, but you just feel like it's only happening to you. So
yeah, because you definitely got to watch who you be telling stuff to, because first of all, especially friends and relatives, because they might be jealous of you anyway. And if you're telling them something, then the next day gets blown out of proportion or whatever. But if we could get that stigma out of the way, that just because we might not feel well today or next month or whatever, that everything is still okay. You can still go and have therapy, and nobody thinks, "Oh, we're back. Hi, how are you? You made it,
I thought the show was over. I didn't realize it was like just a break. So
oh no. When we started talking, all of a sudden you went out. So I thought something was wrong with your computer or something. So we was waiting for you to come back on, so we just kept talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was sitting here listening. I'm like, oh, is this the replay? I thought it was the replay. And then when I just heard you say, oh, well, maybe Ida will come back on, and like Ida, like, oh, I thought I was
Ida.
like, hey.
Well, we just kept
Welcome
talking
back.
because we was like, well, what happened? But anyway, good. I'm glad you got back on because you're gonna have to come back again because we got to really talk to you. But Pat and I kept talking, and we was talking about like we hit on the stigma a little bit, with
Some of
young
the things we
people,
talked about earlier, the three of
commit
us.
to suicide, in the school and stuff like that, and so what are some of the things now that we can work on ourselves beforehand, like almost like a prevention that we need to get into to start working on ourselves and make ourselves better person and changing our mindset that we want to be a stronger individual.
I think the short answer to that is self-reflection. And the more long-term commitment would be to have therapy. I honestly wish that therapy became like standard, just like everyone should have an annual physical at minimum. I personally feel and professionally feel like people would benefit from at least a minimum of 3 therapy sessions per year or even semi-annually, in my opinion. It would do a lot of justice. And I feel like, maybe if different states, cities tried that for at least 1 year or 2 years consistently, we could see differences in things. So self-reflection is one thing, but like actually getting on and speaking with a therapist and getting the actual treatment and doing the work. One big thing that maybe Patricia has done and I have done as a mental health provider is like CBT is one of my favorite therapies because it helps to reframe your negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And with everything going on in the world today, I don't care how strong someone think they are. At some point in your life and at different points in your life, you can and will go through things that will test that strength. And I don't feel like you just have to be strong. I feel like everybody needs an outlet. A therapist is a great outlet to let it all out. Some people may go to your pastor, a family member. Okay, fine. But there are trained professionals that can help you to reframe your thoughts. So just like we were speaking about earlier, meditation and yoga takes practice. Well, so does reframing your thoughts. If usually in life, if a person gets anxious or frustrated, they react a certain way. They're not going to like have one therapy session and then just reframe their thoughts for the rest of their life. You have to do the work. You have to continue coming, but we will help you like do the work during the therapy session. There's work you can do outside that we will guide you on so that when you are in situations that, let's say, for one example, frustrates you, we've already helped to reprogram you to know like, okay, let me not look at it as the glass half empty. Let me look at it as the glass half full. If you're feeling stressed at work, like, I don't know why my boss gives me all this work, I can't get all this done, we may help you to reframe it as in, I have a lot of work to do today, but I can get it done. I've gotten it done before. I just need to take a second, reorganize, and I'm going to get this done. Like something as simple as that, like reframing something, because you have to get it done anyway. But if you sit there and just like look at it in a negative way and like the frustration builds up, it's just going to make your day longer. You may have to stay after work to get it done, but sometimes really just reframing whatever it is that's in the way can like just make it better,
I also wanted to say, Ida, is good evening, Bishop. I'm glad you're joining us tonight. But when you was talking about people they don't have to be strong. Yes, I agree with that too. But I was thinking earlier, like, what would you say about people quickly that sometimes people they just don't try to do better. They just likes to be miserable.
Well, that they probably fit under some sort of mental health condition as well. But for me, let me clarify. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be strong. I'm saying that when we go through some things in life, there are times when we can just chalk it up to, okay, let me be strong and get past this. Yeah, those situations arise. But then there are some things that are just overwhelming, including, as someone, I think Patricia mentioned earlier, let's say grieving or sadness, right? Yes, there's grieving and sadness, but then there are some people who, we use a diagnostic manual to diagnose in psychiatry. So if a person starts meeting criteria that is past grieving, yeah, they need help. That's just past being strong as well, because they can sink into a very, very dark place. So even grieving and sadness, there's a healthy way to grieve and there is an unhealthy way to grieve. And so that's what we're licensed and trained for, to recognize those differences.
Now, I totally agree with you on now about having the therapy sessions at least 2 to 3 times a year, because now that we are talking about the mental illnesses so much now, it's almost like an everyday topic now. Before you didn't hear this much about mental illness and all the things that's around the mental illness now. And I like the idea too that you do the sessions over the Zoom, where you still can be talking to people and the people can just talk to you, from their phone and still get the help they need. And I just think that people need to recognize if they think they actually need some help and someone to talk to. I think we don't realize how valuable therapy is. I think that's the problem. And we have to get the word out there that it's okay to call and get a therapy session.
And ask for help.
We have to wrap up. Look, you got to come back, because we got to get some more therapy in here. You know what I'm saying? we got to get some more therapy in here. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. You got to call up, but you got to come back so we can finish this, because we got to wrap up now. And it's so important, because I really see now, talking with everyone, the value. And I think if we do go get some sessions like your suggestion, I think that's one of the major things that's going to help us be a better person for 2020. We definitely need to change our mindsets of how we do stuff now and how we treat people. That's the main thing. My thing is how we treat people. So I want to thank you for coming on, and please come back. We're gonna set it up again for you to come back so we can finish the conversation, because I think this is really needs to be a continuing conversation that we talk about how we get better ourselves.
Because if I were to go into details, like on one of the upcoming shows, I mean, even just for women, some women are trying to have a baby and having difficulty, and they're depressed and stressed and anxious about that. Some women after they give birth. What about postpartum depression? A lot of men, a lot of times a woman has a baby and there's...
Well, we're going to have to come back and talk about that, because we're out of time. So you let me know which Tuesday you can come back, and we're going to do this again. So I want to thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you, Pat. Coming on, and thank you for joining us tonight. And we're going to finish this conversation, but right now we're going to have to go. So remember, go to our Facebook page and like us, our YouTube channel, and subscribe. And make sure you continue to watch us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So thanks for joining us again. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Do you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Space Box Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shana.